Whenever you're ready.
Hey, it's Adler from FM102 backstage, not just a Face Fest at Franklin Field. Just getting off the stage a couple of minutes ago. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Ronnie. First of all, congratulations on your career. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but we were just talking about it. 21 years as a band is no joke. That it's not easy to do.
Yeah, thank you so much. It has been a long road, and we're just like, we're all having like kids now and stuff.
Yeah.
So like the band has evolved and will continue to evolve. So like now we're in our 21st year of being in a band, and we're like, just stoked to still be around and like still be like, we never took a hiatus and never broke up. So a lot of bands I know have taken years off, and we just never did. So we feel good about where we are, and that people still listen to they just still jam our stuff. It's amazing. It's like, what can you say?
Also love, this is years ago, but you played our very first big snow show. It was My Chemical Romance, Rise Against the New Guys.
Listen to that lineup.
I'm like, we were laughing. One of our younger promotional people, he's like 25, showing you the poster, and I think he would have been like 6 or 7, 4. Yeah, I don't know how old he was when he was. And he looked and he goes, "Whoa!" And I go, "Yeah." I go, that lineup would kill today. I mean, it was great, but it's like. But also, you're playing on this bill with the U's, who you guys go way back with.
Yeah, we've been playing radio festivals, like we're talking about right now with them, for all 21 years, basically.
Yeah.
And we got lucky, and we got, some really amazing opportunities in our career, and like not every band gets that. So we're just really grateful. Like, and one of the things you get to do is bump into bands like that.
Yeah.
I remember I said something about it on stage today. I've been listening to you since I was 15. I had to real quick think in my head and trace it back.
And do the years.
So it was either 15 or 16. Maybe I'm off 1 year, but basically right around then. And to be 41, and then to be like opening up for them once again was just like kind of a head trip.
Isn't it
today
weird?
is awesome. You know what I mean? So I was trying to express that to them.
I do like talking to younger bands because they still have that excitement and things, but I love bands that have been around 15, 20 years because you do get to reflect a lot like that, and you are surprised at time, which, it's a linear thing. We all experience at the same pace, but 21 years is crazy, especially when you have the U's and these bands that you've been touring with for years and years. You have, is there any like kind of fun or horror stories either side of those that you guys go back to?
No, not with
nothing.
I mean, we've always been like afraid of them because they're so, like I said, like we were massive fans. When we signed to Virgin in 2006, the U's was already around and like killing it.
Yeah.
The U's, My Chem, a lot of Rise Against those bands, they were already killing it. So we were the young bucks. So the first time we met them, we were just like scared to death to be around them. But we have, what I said earlier is we've been playing shows with them. So we never really knew them because we were terrified of never meet your idols kind of thing. I don't know. Like sometimes, like when you're in a band, like you have so much respect for another band that you literally just don't talk to them.
Yeah.
And they have no idea that you're literally wearing their merch. You're like, you grew, you know every single song from their OG albums. You know what I mean? Like that's how I am with the Used.
I have Hawthorne Heights underwear.
There you go. Now that band, we are actually super good friends with.
Are you? Okay.
And we're like on a personal level.
Yeah.
So like that's a good example of the other way, and that's probably just because they came up to us, But we were young, we were new. The Used was already crushing it. All these other bands were already crushing it. So we tried to be respectful and not look so clingy. But inside, we were like, oh my God, we're playing with them.
And it's hard not to, and I'm sure some bands that maybe haven't made it in the past kind of go, well, we're peers. You're like, oh no, you're not. You're like you can pretend you are, but you're not.
You're not peers.
Those you mentioned the years. Those first 3 years before you got signed was just relentless touring, was it not?
And it was also, we all worked day jobs. So in the very beginning, like every single person in the band had a job all week, and then we could only tour on the weekends. So we would do Friday, Saturday, Sunday runs. And they try to like, and then years later, you have a record deal and your song comes out, and if you're blessed enough and lucky enough and the stars align and you have some success, everyone's like, oh, they're overnight success. And you're like, whoa, what?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how can you even say that? We got show posters that day, you go into this weird defense mode.
It's hard not to.
You realize later, like, who cares what they think?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we know what we did.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, a lot of weekend warrior runs, and we all still had jobs until the day we signed with Virgin, and then we finally felt like, okay, let's all just quit, which everybody was scared to do. And then let's
huge
all
move.
put all of our energy into this and hope that it works.
What were you doing? What was your last?
Risk. I was working for True Green Chemlaw.
Oh, I
You
know.
ever seen
Okay.
those Dalmatian trucks?
Yeah.
At the time.
Did you drive?
Before that, yes. I had my own truck, had the outfit, name tag.
Whoa.
I was out spraying lawns in Florida, and I loved it. It was a fun job, and I was nervous about quitting because it was hard to get hired. You know what I mean? Like, that was a tough. Everybody wanted that job because you don't have to like
And
have
it's
a boss
consistent and reliable.
And you know, work outside. I like working outside.
Yeah.
So anyway, we all dove in, and here we are. Here we are, 21 years. Or, you know, actually, that wouldn't be 21 years later. That was 06. So here we are, 18
years later.
Yeah.
But also, now that you have a house and you don't have to do that, you probably have the best lawn, top-notch lawn on the
You know what? I
on the
would like
block.
to think I did until I moved where I am now. Now I like don't have a lawn.
Oh, really?
In California, it's very popular to have like a grassless front yard.
Yep.
So we have like kind of like
Rocks.
a lot of organic trees and
Desert
plants
scape.
Okay.
that would desert scape, and there's no grass. It's really I'm still not quite used to it.
Wow, that's kind of
But
stripping you of your past.
it's a stripping. There's a stripping going on. But you know what? Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I love you, babe.
You finish your set with Face Down, which I love the lineage of that song because it started out, it's still a huge song, everybody's singing along to it, but you've done it acoustically, and now you've done it with a symphony 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it always works. It's really interesting that I mean, I think of it as kind of evolving, but
Sure.
you know, some people are like, oh, they're kind of doing it again. Well, it's kind of evolving. You're adding more stuff to it. How did the symphony part come about?
My brother's, that was all my brother Randy's idea.
Really?
So he was like, yeah, 100%. He's also like, you know, we've been making music together since we were actually like 7, but he's been in the band a long time, and he's one of the few members that actually has contributed. Like, I do a lot of the songwriting, but Randy is one of the only other members that we've ever had that actually presents like a complete song. So he's very much a composer in his own right.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he's very into like symphony stuff, you know, like him and I both played in the orchestra when we were young. I played tuba and he played percussion, so he played like big old bass drum, tipping drums, all that. That's what percussionists do. So we're orchestrally trained. It's our background before we were a rock
Wow,
band.
so it's not even really, it's not a huge step in any direction. It's just it's an overlap almost.
Yeah. So he just brought that in. So what's interesting is it's almost like I'm glad people enjoyed it because we did make it very like how it felt when we played in orchestra.
Yeah.
We paid attention and remembered like back how it felt and how it wasn't so abrasive and it was soft.
Yeah.
You know, and a little bit more like emotional when it comes to the woodwinds and piano and stuff. So yeah, we did that and people liked it. Of course, like we had no idea where they were or not. It was just literally something Randy wanted to do.
Sounds great.
Sometimes you're in a band and you're like, hey, can we do this?
Yeah.
And I pretty much say yes to everything because I like to get along, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And try to be agreeable. And he's like, can we put out like a symphonic version? Like, are we allowed to do that? And I was like, of course we're allowed to do that. It's our song. We can do whatever we want. Some people may not like it though, but luckily people liked it.
So he presented it to you as an idea, and you did you immediately kind of hear it in your head?
Well, I just know how good he is,
Yeah.
right? Because he's my brother. So like, he's just phenomenal producer, engineer, you know. So I knew he was going to hit me with something. He did trick me though. He did just go ahead and do it.
Oh, really?
Without my vocal, and then he sent it to me. Let's just say like an early version, you know.
Okay.
It evolved and we retracked a lot of stuff, but it sounded so good that, and I sang over top of it because I'm a live streamer. I was like, holy crap, okay, you win.
Yeah.
This obviously, like, you're on
You can't say no to it now.
Yeah. I never really said no, though. I just kind of said yeah, and I wasn't on fire about it.
Yeah.
And then when I heard his track, I was like, all right, let's book some time. Let's get this going. I took over as, like, the logistics brother, you know?
You guys, speaking of your brother, you guys don't clobber people over the head with Faith, but Faith is a very, very big part of your band.
It is.
And over the years, has there been anybody that, not necessarily was in the band, but people you befriended, and if your musical taste might have aligned, but has Faith ever kind of, not gotten in the way, but been a sticking point?
Wow, what an interesting question. I didn't think you were going to hit me with one like that.
So, no, yeah.
I appreciate it, though, because anytime somebody opens the door to the opportunity to talk about something like that, I get excited.
Yeah.
So it was such an intricate question, I'd like to answer it specifically. For me, in the rare times that has happened, it's instantly the way I was taught by my grandmother is that's an opportunity to be a good example. So if you run into somebody that's spiritually making you feel weird or off, then it's your responsibility to be a good example in that moment of how it can be. So like the trick is with a rock band, like we are not preachers. So, and we don't necessarily want to tell anybody that they're wrong, because that's offensive to somebody if they believe another way. So if you can lead by example, and then they come to you and go, you know what, man, there's something different about you. This happened to me so many times I can't count. You know, there's just something about you and your vibe. Like, what is it? And I just say, well, for me, it's Jesus. But for you, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I get there. That's how I get high. That's how what gives me like joy and light. But I'm not telling you that that's going to work for you. You got to figure out your own path.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm open to interpretation, but that's just what works for me. So it's an opportunity. But most of the time, things have evolved so much these days. That's why I just say the word Jesus instead of claiming a religion.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are intermingling faiths on their own because there are no rules. Like we've all realized as a culture that like, okay, yeah, this pastor says this, but this pastor says this, and this preacher says that, and this rabbi says this. So it's turned into this new, like, I don't know how to explain it, so I just say, I like Jesus, and that kind of simplifies it. They know where I'm coming from. And, you know, they could say, well, I like so-and-so, fill in the blank. And I'll be like, right on. We can still embrace. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay.
I feel religion is a lot, like, not to age myself, but I feel old sometimes. Like, ice cream used to just be ice cream. And now you're like, now it's frozen yogurt, it's custard, it's ice cream, it's non-dairy ice cream, which seems the same. It's like religions. And there's no reason why you can't mix and meld them and make the perfect one that you like, which that's kind of where I stand with it. I've just always been in kind of awe of how you guys do it. It's you present, I think, your faith rather than selling it to someone. And I think anytime you're getting sold something, like you said, you feel it. You feel something's off. But when you're presented with something, it's much different.
Plus, you gotta remember, man, nobody's perfect. So like, just because you claim a religion or a spirituality, like what I did earlier, doesn't mean you're like the best mood all the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean like you're always on your A game. And you can, if you got this reputation of like, I am a Christian, and you walk in with that, then on those bad days when you're off, that's the impression that you're giving to them about what you claim.
Yeah.
So I learned that young. So like, I try to just be super forgiving because that's what was given to me. So like, I just try to be super accepting and forgiving to literally everybody that I meet, unless they're physically threatening me. And then I snap into dad mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But other than that, like, I just try to be like compassionate, man, because that's how I feel. I was changed. I was changed into that person.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, you know, I have this compassion and I try to share it. And that's what I meant by when people notice something about you and they're like, hey, that's kind of cool. I want to try that out. And I'm like, cool, it's free. I mean, some people compare it to believing in aliens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I think that's entertaining. That's how you want to look at me. That's fine with me because I'm happy. Are you?
Yeah.
You know, but the question comes down to that. And a lot of times they say no.
It's a really tough industry that you're in to have those strong beliefs. So it's, I mean, again, going back to how we started, 21 years is a long time, but it's harder when sometimes maybe it's not. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but sticking with your faith and being surrounded by people and being in a different city all the time is very different. But also that can be the thing that unifies everybody. You go, it doesn't matter if I'm in Milwaukee or Macon, Georgia. Everybody's pretty much the same. And yeah, there's bad people. There's mostly good people, and you like you said, the bad people you bump into, you do. Dad mode is a very specific feeling. You get it. You know it. You feel it. And it's immediate. It's so that's I didn't want to go too deep into it, but it's just something about you and your band, the band, that is just really fascinating. And I don't think everybody. Bands just don't last long. You know, it's like running a restaurant. I think you have like an average of like 3 or 4 years, or a bar or something like that. Bands are probably even less than that. So to do it for the length of an adult person's life, many of which are you know, we're here today. It's a joy to see, and that's kind of the way it's really an interesting thing. So I do thank you, fun for the time. But yeah, for that very great answer.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, man. Never miss one. You never know what you're being handed. And a lot of times it's just an opportunity to just like, you know, be with us.
One last quick thing. Are you working on any new music, EP album, something like that in the near future? Okay.
We literally 2 days ago we got our masters in.
Oh,
The album
wow.
is done. It is yet to be titled, and we're super pumped. And because this time, for the first time since 2009, we left the mainstream music industry and we went underground, as you would say.
Yeah.
And we just loved it. We hung out there for a really long time, and then we actually finally signed a deal with a label called Better Noise. So we are officially signed to them, and this will be our first release through them. So it's kind of a big deal for us, and I hope it's a big deal for them as well. But I think things are going to be really great. But we'll see what's in store. You know what I mean? Like, none of us are in control. We're all along for the ride.
Yeah. Well, excellent. I just glad to hear. 2, safe travels, man.
Thank you.
Heading back. I know. Summer's volatile, and the Midwest is one of the weirdest weather places in the world, as you know.
We got a really safe van, good, safe, sober drivers. So
and you're going back to Florida, which itself is a bit of a roll of the dice weather-wise.
We're actually going to Europe to play for the troops.
Oh, really?
So we're doing a 6-show military base run for all the people who can't be home during the 4th of July.
Oh.
And we're doing 6 bases over there, from the smallest to the biggest, and a plan for the troops, and then we get to go home.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
Yep.
Way to end it, man, right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
USA.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.